positive side of the cranial nerve, each cranial nerve, deal with an area of inquiry, and your negative side deal with an area of inquiry. You have to inquire about the negative aspects of the information, just as you have to inquire about the positive aspects of the data coming in. So you see, you got two areas of inquiry associated with each one of the cranial nerves that is established by each one of the posts of the cranial nerve, each of the two posts. So here you have your data there, with positive side and negative side. Each side is associated with an area of inquiry. All right, so that makes 24 areas of inquiry, with two areas of inquiry being associated to each one of the posts that make up each one of the 12 cranial nerves. So here you have two posts for each cranial nerve. That makes up 24 posts when you add the 12 together. And you got two areas of inquiry that associated with the cranial nerve, which add up to 24 areas of inquiry. Now John said he saw in the kingdom. So that's explained in the function of the brain from a scientific perspective, as the kingdom, you see. John said that he saw 24 elders, and they were seated on 24 seats. You see. So when you look at this information, and you see that those 24 posts and those 24 areas of inquiry could be identified as the 24 elders and the 24 seats that John saw in the kingdom of heaven, then you can see how the conscious mind of a person is equal to the kingdom that John saw while he was in the spirit. If you had to study that a little bit more about the 24 elders that John saw, the elders, that's one thing to tell you something. The elders, and the elders has something to do with the accumulation of knowledge. Anybody say, hey, we got an elder in the church or elder in the community, that means that elder had accumulated a vast amount of knowledge. He's been around a long time. That's why he called an elder. See, the Bible, these things in Revelation are listed allegorically. You see, just like in Revelation, the scripture talks about the whore that sit up on the waters when he's talking about Babylon. Then he goes on to tell you, he said, the waters that you saw, these are people, nations, and tongues. So he wouldn't really, he used the term water, but water was used allegorically. Not like the water we drink, but to describe nations and people and tongues, you see. So you can look for the same thing that happened in other part of the Revelation. Revelation is written in metaphors, you see, in symbols. And you can look through it and you got to understand those symbols. When you see an elder, that means that some kind of way he's associated with information, knowledge, you see. He didn't say two young people sitting on the throne. You know, he said elders, that means they have accumulated knowledge. And then you also notice that when I think it's in the 6th chapter of Revelation, say when the four beasts carried out their activity, the elders would cast their throne, the crowns that they wore, before the throne. That's saying something. That's a symbol there, you see. So now, whenever the four forces, mental forces in your brain go through what we talked about, you know, bringing in information and ideas. When ideas are brought into your head, then the force of reasoning call on the 24 posts and 24 areas of inquiry to take in that information. So in a sense, those 24 areas of inquiries are opening up, or throwing their crown before the throne to take in that additional information as the elders, you see. And all that information is stored. This is what happened in the kingdom of heaven that John saw. That's why when the four beasts carry out their job, the Bible says, when they carry out their work, the 24 elders would cast their crown before the throne. This is to say they're taking in that information that the four beasts have brought in, the new additional information. So you see, you're having the same thing that's going on in your conscious mind. Whenever you go through will, your four beats in your brain carry out that role of bringing in new information. Those 24 areas, they're done subconsciously already. What the Bible is saying, when Jesus said the kingdom is within you, he's saying that you have got to recognize that these things are happening. And then, which is called he that sitteth upon the throne, that's within your conscious mind, the force of reasoning. It's sitting there. It's thinking right now. It's a force. Then it would become aware of all these things, and then he can start organizing things right, and then carrying out these procedures appropriately, and being conscious aware of it, and the kingdom will begin to manifest. You see? So those 24 elders, first of all, we have got to realize that those 24 elders that John saw consist of the 24 posts that you have within your conscious mind, which is your 12 cranial nerves, being divided up into 24 posts, and each one of those posts equaling an area of inquiry. Each one for the positive side, one for the negative side. And all the information coming in is going to have to be one section dealing with positive and one section dealing with negative. And all that information is being stored. You can't consciously regurgitate it, but it's there. Anything that your conscious mind had ever encountered is stored within your subconscious mind. And that's those 24 elders within your conscious mind doing their job, throwing their crown before the force of reasoning, taking in that information. So, now, as I said, this is a new area. And God is showing it. It's taken me a long time to begin to see a little, and try to explain to people. Anyone can carry out this type of evaluation of their conscious mind. All you got to do is sit there and think about it. Think about how your thought process works and everything. And the more you focus on that, the more you begin to see, hey, this is right. These forces are operating in my conscious mind. So we'll talk. As I said, it'll take volume to explain all of this. And once the scientific community and the church would just take it seriously enough to start looking, and use their expertise to look into this possibility, then they have the expertise. They have the work to go ahead and start opening up these things that I'm just trying to scale over with the little information that I have. So, but God has given me this revelation. I know it's real. The more I check into it, the more real it appears. And it will do the same for you. But if you don't ever start, you'll never get it. You'll never get it. It's an alternative to the theory regarding all of this that's being projected today by the church, which is based on superstition. And we know superstition never gets us anywhere. When you think about the 24 elders, what do we think about the 24 elders sitting in the kingdom of heaven? 24 real men sitting up there somewhere, maybe of a monumental size, like a big, huge building or some big, huge men with supernatural power. This superstition, it never gets anywhere. This theory that I'm offering, saying that these are posts that deal with inquiries, which is an elder. All this information, only thing is when you take in the information in your brain, it is called, is just basic information. When the Bible mentions as being an elder, he's telling you that an elder is somebody who got information, you see. Well, it's the same thing. The area inquiry and the information stored, the result of the inquiry is an elder, So we'll talk a little bit more about that. I know it's going to be hard. When I get my book out, then you'll be able to read it right along with it.